Rattlesnakes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to introduce our speaker. We're going to introduce our speaker, who is Elizabeth McGreevy, in her pretty shirt. Do I get one?
It's the worst original one.
Well, let me know where to get one. Anyway, she is a sixth-generation Texan, and she is a consultant in natural resources, and she has written a book, which is right there. Read it, hold it up. Wanted, Mountain Cedars, Dead and Alive. And that was the basis for a lot of the information that is now included in Project Bedrock, which is what we're going to discuss this afternoon. And that's all I have to say because I left my notes over there and I'm too slow to go get them. So, I give you Elizabeth McGreevy.
Started. That was a very good intro.
Oh, thank you.
Do you know, it's like I did through ITSE, and I'm trying to figure out, instead of doing like a mass production, I wanted to figure out a way to work with her so that I can just send the link and anyone could just, just order the shirt directly, whatever size they want. So, and there's a lot of excess. So I will let y'all know. Oh, sorry. Oh, I just pushed that. I'm so sorry. Let me turn on. I use a Mac, so yeah, me too.
I'm very confused with PCs. Sorry.
Oh, it's good. Just we put that video right there on for to upload actually. So I don't know who here has read. Okay, gang, ready?
No.
It's on the TV.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, please.
Oh, it's gone. It just took you to get up. It's like when I was growing up and I have a problem with anything, the minute that my dad showed up, the problem was away. So I don't know if you read my book on the mountain cedars, but it took me as a result of 25 years of research and meeting landowners all over the Eastern Edwards Plateau. And as I came to the end of my research, I really started realizing that we've been looking at the problem on the surface and not really understanding what was going on underneath. And now A&M is finally starting to go in, and the Texas, OSU, UT, a few things being done at Texas Tech where they're going under to realize that where we are is a whole different ballgame. And it's called Texas Karst Country. Okay, there you go. So that's what the Project Bedrock focuses on, because in karst country, the bedrock is a big part of the problem of what we're trying to deal with. And yeah, the hill country is the eastern part of the Edwards Plateau. So it's like this whole area here. You also have the western Edwards Plateau. The eastern Edwards Plateau is more like a sub-humid type area, while the western Edwards Plateau is more semi-arid. So still two different climatic extremes, two different issues, but they're all, the whole area is on top of this karst country. And you also have little fingers that go up into Oklahoma, and then the Ozark Mountains in Missouri, that's all karst country. So that's another example. If anyone's ever been to Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, that's part of karst country. Karst country is defined by these karst features, but the country is the entire thing, and it's mostly limestone with shallow soils. It's going a little bit slow because I have our video, and so it's slowing it up a little bit. So we need to improve how we manage this region called Texas Karst Country. This is a typical cross section. As you can see, we don't have much soil. And you know, I'll see people saying, oh, but the grasslands, that's what we need to have. Grasses are the answer. And I'm sorry, grasslands work, soils are deep, very, very effective. But when you don't have very much soil, the grasses can't develop those massive roots that they're being shown to get unless, because they can't. And the grasses can establish, but kind of like they have to follow behind the trees. Now, we do have pockets throughout this region that do have deeper soils, so the grasses can develop as deeper roots. And so that's the kind of approach we need to be taking. It's the first step I always ask is, how deep are the soils in this spot? And if they are less than 2 feet deep, I'm going to tell them you really need to focus more on woody vegetation as opposed to grass. So what we've been doing is I call tactical warfare. And it's been about how can we fight the KR? How can we fight this and fight that? How can we fight the cedars? It's all this like warfare. Like in Texas Monthly, they put in the war on cedar, the art of war on cedar trees. It's all about warfare. Why are we doing warfare when we should be focusing on something that's not as aggressive, something that, kind of looks at the bigger picture? And so, we have been, since the 1950s, of course, the 1950s was horrible with the chaining, where they get 2 bulldozers and a big chain, they drag it through, just rip everything out of the ground. People are still doing that, just bulldozing. We got just people coming in and just clear cutting everything. Got people who are happy with the burning. That's from a Texas Parks and Wildlife video that is still on YouTube. You got the brush busters with the chemicals that they just want to spray on everything. And it's all because we've been taught that the woody brush is bad. Doesn't think as fast as I do now. So this is what degradation has caused. Like I said, for 25 years, I've visited landowners throughout this region. These are pictures taken at these places where I visited. And I would show up and they would say, oh, look, we just cleared all the cedar over here. Look, doesn't this look good? And I'm like, oh, no. But they think it's good because they're doing what they were told to do and then what they're being paid to do. And to this day, the NRCS, the first thing they say is clear out the cedar. We'll give you money to do it. And that is not a good approach because, as you can see, when you do that, what do you get? It's because our soils are so shallow that there's a much more detrimental effect on Texas karst country. Also, we get the flash floods and the droughts, right? So we need to push the reset button and acknowledge that this region is different. It's a different ballgame. We need to shift to long-term solutions since the short-term fixes that we've been doing have caused more harm than good. Now, it doesn't mean we can't have a few little short-term fixes here and there, but we need to have it so that the majority of our work focuses on the long-term and not the short-term. And that's tough if you're older, because then you're not going to probably see the results. But instead, think about the children, about the younger generation, about what the gift that we're giving them. Except that mountain cedars are part of the solution, not the cause of our problems. Okay, here I am. This is my first time to try this. So we put together a video, assuming this works. I'm going to give a little preface here. We just put out in August is Project Bedrock awareness video. It's going to take a little bit of time for it to upload. So we'll know when it's uploaded, then we'll see a play button. Let's give it about 60 seconds. If it doesn't work, I'll just keep going. But it would be nice to show it.
I just went on the website last night and the video's there and it plays in about 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you.
So When you see it, you can take it forever.
I wish there was like a little thing that told you how long it would take.
Just stare at it.
I mean, the last time I did this, we used a YouTube link, but that required having a good Wi-Fi connection right there. I didn't know if we would have that here. So therefore it goes faster because it's just linking to YouTube.
We could do that if you want. We could.
It should play. No, oh, what's this time?
I think that's just how many minutes you've been
Talking?
Yeah.
Oh, why won't this work? I hate to click it, and the minute I click it, you see it's like starting to work.
Do you want to go out and do the other version of the YouTube?
Yeah, because it looks like it's just going to take too much time. It's a big.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Okay, so we're going to try and get it to do we have Wi-Fi?
Yeah, we have
Is this connected to Wi-Fi already?
We're gonna connect right now.
Okay, sorry. This is my first time to actually do this, so I'm not sure what
We're
will
making for that.
Yeah. She's a Mac person. I'm a Mac person. We're all Mac
I know, that's
people,
the
and
other
this is not a
problem.
Mac.
All of us are Mac people.
Okay, let's see what's it.
There's a guest one.
Oh, wow.
Benita, do you remember what the Vista password is?
What?
What's
Fresh
the-
air, fresh beer.
Fresh hair?
Fresh air, fresh
Oh.
beer. All lowercase.
Okay.
Okay, so while that's doing it, go back and we'll pick the other video. The other file.
Great. Let me. It's cute that you think I know how to get there.
Now, when I run it on my computer, it takes about less than 60 seconds for it to upload, but I have a really good Mac.
Here we go.
Okay, see what that one at the bottom. It should also advance faster now than YouTube videos.
Problem solved.
Yeah. I mean, the option is to just reduce the file, but even if I look at it.
It's not a sacrifice. This is another video. Oh, now is it working now?
No. That's not mine.
There we go.
In all the years I've done presentations, I've never actually included the video, so this was a new thing to learn. Good to learn new things. I know, and I didn't know, but, okay.
Should she enable content?
Oh, wait, you're good, come back. Oh, wait, oh, what have I done?
Exit out of that. Oh yeah, enable content. Like Carolyn said, epithet. Yeah, now I should be able to. Is there a present option? I can't see next. Oh, there we go.
Wait.
Yeah, good job. You know what? Thanks.
Okay. Is that right?
Oh, there it is.
Okay, it's just, it takes a little time to think. Okay. sure I don't skip it. Come on. I don't know why it's still going so slow. This is on.
Oh, there it goes.
No, like, don't go past that. Now. Not sure how to make it play. So what we can. Oh, there he goes. There's a little. Oh, I guess because I had a link to this. Okay. Okay. Oh, wait, it's like an. Wait, oh my God. Oh, here, wait, I think I can figure it out.
We might need to turn up the sound somehow.
It's skipping all over the place. It's not gonna work. Oh my God, this is just, okay, let's just go to the next thing.
Almost there. Almost there. They go to the website. Tell everybody to just go to the website and watch it.
I know, it's,
We could always play it on the website.
yeah. I'm making it sound.
Yeah,
It's skipping all over the place.
yeah. I say we just, is it on your website? We just go there really quick.
Yeah, we're just.
Or we just give it
You
like.
might
Never mind,
overcharge
we'll
this
just
here.
skip, let's just,
I'm so
we're
sorry.
just, okay, we're just talking about that. I don't know why it's. Okay, so before y'all leave, everyone can pick up a business card and you can watch it on our website. And it's so too bad because it has great Texas music and everything. It's fun to watch.
No, then, no, listen, we got to see scooping up the.
You did get to see that.
That's so amazing. If you ever get out and when you see old growth cedar and reach down and pick up the earth. It's amazing. We went to, remember when we went to place in San Marcos and did that? It was just like, it's good soil. Wow.
Yeah, so that's what we, so everything I'm talking about right now is kind of like covered in the video, but within a short period of time, it's unused. So anyway, I guess I'll have to keep figuring out how to get that to work in one of these presentations.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'll cancel. I could have played it from my phone. I think.
You want me to play it from the start?
Wait, what? What's this?
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yes.
I guess he wants to play the video.
Sure. Oh my God. Okay, I need to take him to my next presentation.
How do you exactly? How do you
Take that one off.
Dang.
There we go. Oh,
We don't have sound.
turn it up.
Sucked up all the water.
They're all bad, gotta get rid of them.
It exuded from its roots a poison that would kill grass and other plants around.
I questioned at the time, but I thought experts knew more than I did. We need to change how people are thinking, push the reset button, and to teach that mountain cedars are part of the solution to regenerating Texas karst country, not the problem.
So
A lot of people wonder, what the heck is karst country? In Texas, it's about 20% of our land. And it's characterized by limestone, bedrock that dissolves easily to form really cool features such as caves and sinkholes. Got hillside springs, massive aquifers that provide drinking water for millions.
So that one is.
One of the characteristics of it is shallow soils. They are so shallow that in many places you have to use a rock hard to dig. And this region is prone to gully washing rains and droughts that flatten the soil, wash it away. The longer that we continue this endless cycle of clearing out mountain cedars, also overgrazing, the more we're moving this land towards rocky desertification. You're going to get more flash flooding, downslope erosion, and wildfires. This land is covered with a discontinuous cover of vegetation.
The first Spaniards came, they wrote about it being vast forests, mountain cedar, and various types of oaks.
They were saying that the soil was rich, dark. People were reporting jaguars, black bears, passenger pigeons. The thing is, there's hope. We could regenerate Texas karst country. We want to get landowners to stop focusing on the mountain cedar because that's just a symptom of what's wrong. It's not the cause of our problem. They're covering the ground, they're slowing down rainfall, and they are turning leachy dirt into soil so that more water can soak into the ground to contribute to subsurface groundwaters. So we want to mimic what they're doing, and it also means learning to work with the mountain cedars.
If we can just rehydrate the landscape, then we solve sort of two problems at once. We solve the drought problem and the flooding problem. When we get big storms, a lot of water comes down the hill. I come in here and dig these nice fancy berms and swales, but you might have a bunch of rocks laying around, and you can put those on the contour so that when the water flows downhill, it catches the water, slows it down. So by keeping the water on the property, we're turning a stormwater liability into a groundwater asset. There's a lot of great ranches around here who are doing regenerative grazing, and they're using bison and sheep and pigs and chickens. The animals are constantly moving. If you don't keep the livestock moving, you end up with overgrazing. You end up degrading that area.
We need to improve how we manage Texas karst country.
There's got to be another way to do this, to maintain balance. It's all about the balance.
Landowners on karst country are the heart of Texas, and when we help them to regenerate these lands, it's going to benefit us all.
He has now hacked into your whole system.
Okay, now to figure out how to stop it so we can get back to this. Maybe penis exits. I have no idea how to do that.
Release her, Bob.
The learning process.
Go to inputs. What's the joystick?
Is it? Oh. I had some people, when I was getting feedback on the video before it's final, say that, wow, the music is like so energetic. Shouldn't you have something that's more peaceful and quiet?
We gotta get to work.
Yeah.
Good job. Thank you, Bob. First of all,
Did you make up that word?
He She's got a new job.
Yeah, the geologist, who here's a geologist? Anyone? Kathy was just asking who came up with the word karstification, which is the next slide I'm showing. So, as a geologist, geologists, they have like soil piping, karstification, I'm thinking of all kinds of little weird words. Okay. So I guess maybe in the future, if I can figure out how to just use my phone, oh gosh. I'm going to do this.
We're on the same boat.
I know.
Bob does lessons now.
Well, because in that case, if I'm not going to have the video on here, I could just have PDF, which goes a lot faster. Oh, okay, wait. We're almost there. One more. Almost there. Yay. Yeah, it takes a while to think.
The TV's ahead of you.
Oh, shoot. Okay, okay, let's go back. Okay, TV's ahead. Oh, wait. No. Close your eyes. Okay, don't look. Okay. So for anyone who doesn't understand, is that the reason why this area is different is because as the rain comes down, this is H2O, and then you have carbon. So when the carbon hits the water molecules as it's falling, it falls as carbonic acid. So weak acid, but it's enough to help dissolve the limestone because limestone dissolves easily. And this process is called karstification. And the thing is that as much as it'll pick up in the atmosphere, it picks up more once it enters the soil. If it cannot enter the soil, it's going to go off as runoff and no karstification happens. But the minute that it enters the soil, what kind of soil is it going to enter? It's going to enter healthy soil that's full of carbon. So as that rain enters the soil, it also starts to team up with the carbon in the soil and that organic matter. So it creates even more carbonic acid to create even more limestone dissolution. Okay. The dense vegetation, when you strip off that dense vegetation cover, it exposes the soil, and the soil cannot handle it. It's very vulnerable to our hot sun, our flash floods, and all these things. So we need dense vegetation to protect that soil matter. So what happens when it regenerates? Well, a lot of times around here, you got people, they go through and they just clear cut and they just remove too much vegetation. And you see this part here, it's called the epikarst. The epikarst is like the very, very top layer. It's the most porous layer. And when you strip out the vegetation and you lose that soil, the epikarst literally shrinks. And the epikarst, when it's bigger, thicker, and it has more pores in it, that's what it can hold more of, more groundwater. And so when you get that soil reestablished, that epikarst is going to thicken back up and be able to hold more groundwaters beneath the surface. It's also going to be able to receive more waters to let those infiltrate and move down into the caves and aquifers and things like that. So that's why it's so important to have the soil. It's so important to protect it against vegetation.
It can actually regenerate?
Yes.
The epikarst can regenerate?
It can. And that's what gives us hope. And that's why we're all about regenerating the karst. Is that we can, it's like when people, a lot of people say, oh, well, I had all this cedar brush and I cleared it and I got the springs to flow. Well, first of all, if you clear any vegetation, the springs will flow. I have found this to be true in studies around the world. It doesn't even oak trees, anything. You clear out any vegetation, it's because you remove the vegetation, not because you remove the cedars, but because you remove vegetation, suddenly, yeah, you're going to get more flow. But the problem with that is that then it exposes the soil and you start to get a reduction so that over time it gets worse and worse and that epikarst begins to shrink and as the soil gets washed away. So do y'all understand the kind of this? I thought that this diagram really kind of explains that.
You have to have patience with it.
Thank you. Okay. And as you can see, though, is that as you get this is what happens. You get less erosion, downsoak flooding. The less water that can soak into the ground, the more flooding you get. Period. It comes hand in hand. The more of this that you get, the more groundwater storage capacity, the more soil. When you get more water in that subsurface layer, it's going to keep the soil and the vegetation more hydrated, which means it's going to be at lower risk for fire. It's also going to increase long-term resilience and increase land productivity and biodiversity. So do you see that when you focus on the soil, everything else kind of follows, okay? How woody plants help. So here's a cross-section done by one of the Texas A&M groups. Here you can see underneath the mountain cedar how broken and fractured it is. Now, in the distance, you see how it's not like that, how it's different? That's where the short grass cover is. And so you see the difference there. The water, you can see, is going to be able to move down right here. It's going to be able to be stored in that highly fractured type of thing. And at A&M, they have now found that underneath here, even in just a few years after the mountain cedars start to spread, that they are measuring 3 times more rainwater soaking into the ground under the bushes and 20 times more porosity under these bushes than the nearby grass. That just kind of changes everything. Now, they're also finding other places in Texas where you have clay soils, deeper soils, and that kind of thing. They're not finding the same results. So reducing woody plants in those areas might have a different kind of impact, but we now know when you reduce the woody vegetation on karst country, it causes more harm than good. So a better approach are nature-based solutions. Which soil would you want, the left or the right? And why is it dark? Of course it says on the screen, but the more carbon is dark. So the more dark the soil is, the more carbon is in the soil. And like I said, that's what you want. You want to increase the amount of carbon in the soil because that's going to lead to more limestone dissolution to increase the groundwaters and blah, 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 okay? So we don't have a brush problem, we have a soil problem. And we need to start focusing on these strategies that regenerate soil biology. Healthy soil supports healthy plants. Together they support healthy karst function. See, these are all little sayings I could put on the back of the t-shirt. Especially this one here. Yeah. I just got an email. I got that actually from an email I got yesterday of some landowner who's been out there just telling everyone to get rid of their cedars, their hickeys. He's up in Lakey. And someone who read my book went to one of the meetings and heard the guy just spewing off all this stuff. And he had an extra copy in his back pocket. Well, not his back pocket's a little big, but in his car or something. He gave the book to the guy. And it's been a month. A month later, the guy wrote the most. His entire brain has changed. He has like, whoa, I had no idea. It has totally changed his rhetoric. So that's how you summarize. We don't have a brush problem, we have a soil problem. Around the world, support is growing for nature-based solutions. So, I mean, we need to get in line here. You know, Texas is a little bit slow. But, you know, I mean, look at this. You got, you know, countries are getting together, talking about these things. You know, even Amazon is like promoting nature-based solutions. You got the conversation going. There are some things in Texas, though, and the most remarkable thing was that if anyone's on our Instagram page, just like last month, I put a picture of a big old beaver, which a beaver is a nature-based solution. And I said, you wouldn't believe it, the Texas Park Development Board is now like talking about nature-based solutions. They put out a survey to get people's feedback on nature-based solutions. And this is exciting because it means it's happening. It's like it's starting to happen. And you have like things like Confluence Park in San Antonio was a nature-based solution. We have other things doing flood control. They do have cities doing it, but we need to move these solutions out into the hinterlands, out into the rural, into the countryside. We have to, cities need them. They're focusing most on how to reduce flooding because it's a city. But these solutions need to go much bigger. Okay, so here's some examples. This middle one here is called syntropic farming. And syntropic farming, now understand my background's in ecology. So ecology, a big part of it is looking at ecosystem. And I was, talking to Christine, talking to Kathy earlier, that how do you do it? Do you go out and spray the chemicals? No. Instead, you accept the fact that it is an early succession species, and how can you tweak the soil biology to make it so that the next level comes in order to speed up the process? And what can you seed, like silver bluestem, Texas cupgrass, cytosporum, so you come and seed heavily in different pockets, and so you give nature a boost there. So those are kinds of things that you learn what nature is doing, and you learn to work with or mimic it. So now syntropic farming is instead of just planting row crops of all the same thing, you come in with early succession row crops. And then you come in with the next level up, the next level up. And so it continues to evolve. And so instead of saying, oh, I'm only going to do cotton for the rest of my life, every 10 years, you up it up to another level that's more of a climax species. And so that same approach can be applied to the landscape at large. Another thing is, and this is just amazing how many people fight this, but it's clearing out all the sinkholes and caves. That is a unique thing that you don't get if you're not karst country, but it's definitely something for karst country. Because guess where it's a major channel that goes right to the aquifer. Every single, we should have a massive campaign to clear out all of our sinkholes and caves. And if you have livestock, you're worried, you can put a fence around it. But filling it up, no, we need to clean them out, empty them out. There's like an example at contour bioswale where you put these like contour breaks, like breaks on contour to slow all the water coming down. That was discussed in the video of doing like the rock gradients. You can do rush windrows, which are low cost. With a mini excavator, it's more expensive, but if we can get more funding, we can do more stuff like that because that is very effective. Contour ripping, you can do wherever the soils are deeper than 12 inches. It's especially good for areas that like old hay fields and things like that. Beaver mimicry, where you learn what is beavers doing, and the creation of tiny little dams everywhere in wetlands. Phytoremediation, where you're using trees such as cottonwoods and willows that can literally leach out toxins from soils. Like right now in the city of Austin, I don't know if y'all heard this rewilding silver plan. I'm the one who did the report, and I was just trying to get them to increase the number of natural areas and to apply the basics of natural regeneration, also called rewilding, but also to use the phytoremediation. And how many people just balked at the idea? Like, it's such an easy thing to do. Instead, they wanted to spend millions and millions to scoop out all the bad soil and import new soil from who knows where they get that from, and where they dump all the old stuff is instead, that is not a nature-based solution. And nature-based solutions where you have tests done to figure out which are the plants that will work best with the leach. You plant, they extract it, and everything's good. See, that's a nature-based solution. Cover cropping. A lot of people, they leave their fields and pastures or farms exposed during the winter. And that's something you've probably heard about before, but it really is important to always keep our ground covered because of our heat and our winds and flash flooding. The grazing mimicry, if you don't have a big enough space for lots of livestock, you could do It's a very subtle form of grazing mimicry. It could be better. This is it right here. Is that you do mowing combined with, you spray cow manure compost, liquid cow manure compost, using green cow compost up in Dublin. And so there's things like that that can be done because we used to have millions and millions of animals. And you know, Christine, you mentioned before how many deer we had. The truth is, in the past, we had almost as many deer as bison, but they were all out in the grassland with the bison because we had jaguars and all these scary things in the forest, and we had wolves that would keep the deer together and keep them constantly moving. The problem with the deer now is that we have gone back to lots of deer, but they're not moving, so they're overbrowsing in the same way that the cows are overgrazing. So we have to figure out how can we get them moving again. My one idea is to get jaguar speakers and put them in the forest. Something like that.
What is fire herding?
Okay, so fire herding is being done in Europe. They're using sheep and goats and European bison. And instead, you probably have heard of making shaded fuel breaks through areas to reduce the spread of ground fires and stuff. Well, they're using animals instead of machines. So they're moving these herds, and it's not as a straight line, but you know, it's okay. And they're using shepherds to force them, to guide them through these certain areas where they trample and they browse, and so they create natural shaded fuel breaks. And that is an age-based solution because historically, when I've been all the readings I did, I read Gideon Lineker in around 1836. He was writing about how the bison were running through the cedar and other brush. Like when they would stampede, everyone's saying, Dance with the Wolves, where the stampede was a mile wide. But when they would come through the hill country, it would be very narrow. It's like they would have a few in front. And so there you go, there are your fire departments right there. Multi-species grazing. Here's a great example. In the video, I showed the bison, and that was at the Rome Ranch near Fredericksburg, which I was just at last weekend. And they combined the bison with turkeys and chickens. So when you send out the bison, then you're following with the turkeys and chickens. They eat all the insects and they keep the pasture clean. So that when the bison come back through, then it's not a dirty pasture. And guess what? They don't have to inject their livestock with ivermectin. So they save money on ivermectin. They can promote, they're selling very healthy meat, but the best part is they get lots of dung beetles because the dung beetles they're killed by the ivermectin. So you know that when you go into a pasture that has cow chips fried everywhere, there's no dung beetles. And so when you have, and they were showing it, they were out there picking up the poop and it was all wet and green and all that stuff, and they're showing underneath, you can see some dung beetles right in there. So it's like by doing one little thing, adding another species to the grazing, you can diversify the grazing. The other thing is also that you can't be lazy when it comes to ranching. 100 years ago, we had the cowboys that always were moving the livestock, right? We have to go back to that. We have to be like the buffalo, keep them moving constantly. And there's all different kinds of strategies for doing that. But it definitely is producing really, really, really good, long-lasting, sustainable results. At the Rome Ranch, I don't know how long had they been there, but within just like 6 to 7 years, their organic matter went from less than 1% to more than 5%, and a creek that had not run for over 75 years had started to flow. So if people are starting to show results, and it's really encouraging. And now, yes.
I just read an article in Nature Conservancy magazine that they're recommending to farmers that they put in 5% of their farmland in grass areas, and they segregate it so that it controls erosion.
Yeah.
Well,
Nature Conservancy is getting behind nature-based solutions, and I just found that out last month.
But the results pretty dramatic.
Oh, and it takes so little, really.
Right.
And it's like over in India where it's incredibly hot and dry, they've been putting in tree breaks. And so many of their problems with erosion are just going away. It doesn't take much, but the problem is for the last, 60, 70 years, we've been ruled by big agriculture that has sought to homogenize everything, make everything the same, and we need to just break out of that. So mountain cedars also are nature-based solutions. Right here, here's a picture of an old road break on a hillside. Here's a regenerating true cedar break. Cedar thickets that you see out there all the time are not cedar breaks, those are cedar thickets. And these help to maintain, to sustain a healthy karst country. But we don't have much of that right now because most of them have been clear cut and burned. We see mostly thickets, and that's where it's just bushes that you can't walk through. And they mostly have they're bushes. They have like trunks coming out of the bottom. You don't really see a single trunk tree. And a lot of times, but here's one way that they do it. When they start off an area, if you walk through after rain, you'll see these little lines, or little micro dams. But if you go out there when it's raining, you'll see rain backing up behind each of these. It's like a little mini version of the contour bioswale. And little micro dams. And over time, it starts to backlog and back up to the point where you get the matted leaf litter, which still takes like another 60 or 70 years before it becomes more loose and all that, so other stuff can start to grow. The other thing that they do is as they start to grow, the roots start to go down, and like I already said, that they're finding so much more porosity underneath these trees, but also they're basically are reactivating the mycorrhizal fungi that's in the soil, the first tier that's arbuscular, and so then other things like live oaks and other things can start to come in and grow. They are true pioneer species. When they grow like this, they're not invasive, they're not encroaching, they are pioneering, they're colonizing. And so we need to change that word out. If anything you get out of this is stop, don't ever again call them invasive, because the word invasive now means not native, and these trees are 100% native. Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I tell people is to look under those pioneer bushes and see how much is growing under them. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
See, they're really nurseries for all those things.
Oh yeah, I mean, and people always talk about how the deer are eating all the red oaks and all that. I'm like, well, there's plenty of it. Stop pruning them up. Because maybe prune them up, the deer go. It's the deer that are preventing their growth, not the trees. And so whenever I'm with a landowner and he'll say, oh, can I clear out these cedars? I'm like, let me go look. So I look underneath. And if I don't really see anything, I'm like, okay, you can take out those, but not these over here, because I see a cherry in there. I take a cedar elm coming up. So there's, you got some good seeds and seedlings coming up. So let's keep those in place for now. Nature-based solutions are effective and profitable. Okay, so here's at the Rome Ranch. I already told you that they've seen a really nice increase in organic matter, and that creek started to flow. This right here, I was telling Christine and Dick when we were sitting there, this is at Las Damas Ranch in Mexico, and this is a part of the Chihuahua Desert. He used regenerative ranching to turn it into the Chihuahuan grassland.
How long did that take?
I think less than 10 years. And I plan on getting a field trip down there to go see it, but oh my gosh, it's just remarkable. And then once you get out of his fence line, it's just regular Chihuahua desert. And so he used livestock, and he started off huge, and you just you keep moving them through. They eat everything. They start to poop it out. He said he didn't even seed anything, and he's standing next to big blue stem. It was, and those seeds are so viable in the Chihuahua Desert, which proves it used to be a grassland. Now, I read reports, but until I saw that, there was no real proof. That to me shows it did used to be a grassland, that whole area. There's a dry grassland, but that's where grasses do better where it's dry. That's why they don't actually do as well. That's the other reason they don't do as well in the eastern Edwards Plateau, because we're not as dry. Okay, and then here, I've been getting lots of reports after this summer with all this 100-degree temperature days of a few people who told me that they had old growth juniper oak or some kind of old growth on their hillsides, and even at the end, up until when did this heat stop? It was like mid-September. Okay, sort of pause. That spring is still flowing. And then those same landowners, they went to Bamberger's ranch, who says, "Oh, we cleared all the cedars and all the springs." Well, guess what? Those springs are not flowing. And no, they are not flowing. They literally went out there like 3 weeks ago, and they were talking about how they were flowing. They cleared it all. And the guy who was there, he said, "Well, are they flowing right now?" And they said, "No." And he said, "Well, ours aren't, and ours are covered with the trees, and they're all cleared." Because we have been led to believe that you have to reduce the vegetation to more, but the thing is that when you clear the vegetation, you'll get short-term increase in springs. But when you maintain the old growth, you'll get sustained springs that are going to flow for longer periods of time. Yeah, I guess.
What about mesquite?
What about mesquite? That's a broad question.
So are mesquites helpful in the same ways as junipers?
Mesquites don't really prefer the limestone. Like when you see mesquites in the hill country, they're mostly on the granite and the terra rosa soil. So I don't have a whole lot of evidence that they're doing that. I would assume that this would apply to any woody plant.
There are a lot of them are in cattle areas.
Yes. Yeah, no, any woody vegetation, because woody roots are stronger than grass roots. And mesquites can get their roots down deep. The live oaks are the same way. So the cedar elms, they can all do this. The difference with the mountain cedar is that it's the only one that can be a pioneer and get the whole thing started. But once they get started, then these other things will come in and make it even better.
Where is the leafy
Like, no, this is Lakey.
Oh, what's like it's in the.
Yeah, like. No, it's not leaky because it's leaking water from the hillside. Up in Uvalde County. So that was amazing, and he had me come out there. And they got 500 acres, and on top of the highest hill there is an old growth juniper oak dwarf forest that looks like something from Lord of the Rings, and it was so cool. It was really neat. And so what you also get from nature-based solutions is increased long-term resiliency. And this is with an old hayfield near Blanco that they regenerated. They used contour ripping, seed drilling, and cover cropping, and turned an old compact hard. And you can see they left a part of it untouched. You can compare it, and it went from less than 1% organic matter to about 8% organic matter. And that's what we want. And so instead of using it as a hayfield, now they've rented it out to wise people with a livestock that will come and graze it, when they need to. Because they still understand the value of incorporating the livestock to graze and to drop the manure and to recycle the nutrients. So, yes, sorry, you had a question? No.
Do you know what kind of cover crop they use?
Yeah, it wasn't native, it was alfalfa. But you can get anything like the clovers, those kinds of things are really good. Anything that's going to grow fast and have really deep roots, because it's going to be able to break it up. The thing that was interesting, so their infiltration was really, really, really low, hardly any water was soaking in because it had been driven over so many times by tractors and just degraded, left exposed. And it's amazing how quickly, I mean, this was like less than 5 years. Yeah. Did you do that? Okay. Oh, yes.
I just had a question. What exactly is contour ribbing?
Yeah, it's a track, it showed it in the video, that thing was dragging through the soil, I don't know if you remember that. But it's like these two prongs. Now, plowing, it's not a plow. A plow turns the soil. You don't.
It's more like a harrower.
No.
Not a,
I don't, what is a harrower? What does a harrower do?
it's kind of like a fork. and
It's not that much.
moves across.
Yeah, it's not that much, it's just two things. So what you're doing is you're creating like little mini trenches. Okay, as opposed to raking the soil like a harrow. Okay. But so, and it's about this far apart, and you can do it on contour. There's other people do what's called keyline. Okay, so you know about that, where it's following the contours, but it creates extra little things like that, which you have to see a picture of it to understand. But it literally, it doesn't turn the soil, it just creates an incision. So that the next time it rains, the water hits that, and so it breaks up that hard crust. So yeah, so it's very effective, but when you plow, you turn the soil and that dries it out. And it really kills the soil biology. So, back to Project Bedrock. So how will help? We're going to continue mountain cedar education. We want to down the road develop a landowner assistance system to provide guidance for implementing nature-based solutions. And part of that is right now what we've been working on is developing a working partner network, and y'all may not know it, but County Master Naturalists are part of that working network. And so we want to get to the point where if a landowner has any kind of problem or anything like that, they would be able to come to a central hub and enter in their information, and we'll send them to the appropriate people to help them. And I kind of want to do it. I mean, if the NRCS and all these other places act like we do this kind of thing, we wouldn't need Project Bedrock anymore. So I'm hoping to get to the point where they finally realize, okay, we got to start doing this, then we can close the doors. And we have to see it, you know? Is to partner with other nonprofits to work with government agencies to prioritize and fund nature-based solutions, because until they can sit there and say, oh, we think that they're great, until they actually the items are funded, landowners are going to keep using conventional strategies. We also want to develop a series of educational how-to programs. One is how to read your land. Now, this is something that I have learned over 25 years. I've told a lot of it to Christine. It's like, how do you go out on the site and the things that you look for, and to put it into an actual guide, and maybe something we can team up to do that. How to estimate soil health and biology. You know, we have some of those things I was talking about. I mean, like the color, how much we're getting there, but we need to come up with a consistent measurement that can be applied across the region, because there's certain things that are like carbon credits, if you've been hearing about the carbon credit market and things like that, where people are getting paid to increase the amount of carbon. Well, we need to have these ways that are going to help measure that. And we need to come up with some good estimates. The Edwards Aquifer Authority is working on it. It's going to take them 5 to 10 years to come out with exact, precise scientific, information. So for now, we need to estimate it. And we want to do like how to install earthwork systems to slow the runoff, how to properly manage mountain cedars, and how to map out existing old growth vegetation cover. But after talking earlier, is that I want to do this, but I really want to expand this to finding out also is like that lakey property is who has old growth and springs that continue to flow. I want to map that out, because that becomes more of a research project as opposed to a mere mapping out project. Because if we can start to really show the correlation between well-established, and when I say old growth cover, I'm not just talking forest, I'm talking a well-established old growth grassland, the shimmery, thicket, anything that has been growing, well-sustained, and there's all these different characteristics that you look for to help identify, establish, oh, that is old growth, and that's something else to figure out. Anyway, so there's lots of work to be done, and how you can help. Oh, yes.
Just a comment on your earthwork system. What I find is that you talk to people and how do you get water to slow down?
Yeah.
They've got the stuff they need for the most part.
They do.
Branches,
They do.
rocks, a little bit of turning the soil a little bit, and make them think that they've got what they need. They just got to apply it.
Exactly.
They
Yeah.
take the vision and convert it.
Well, Pete Van Dyke, y'all know him with Van Dyke Earthworks. He's in Blanco. He was in our video. He was the guy talking. So they have a classroom there, and I would like to set a series of classes to teach. It could be a bunch of teaching graduate students even. You know, is to teach people how to do this. It could just be teaching landowners. You have to get like a survey equipment, but that's not that much money to invest in. If you're going to do it for your whole property or your community, you can share on the price. But, you know, teach them how to use the surveying tool. You have to have certain little breaks here and there to allow for this so you don't get back up how deep it should go. You know, there's just some basic things that you just don't go out and put them anywhere. There is an actual scientific kind of approach to it. And all we have to do, but you're right, so you can do it without the mini excavator. You can do these things using the rocks, doing the brush.
I don't want to scare people on surveying, that kind of thing. Talk. Look at their land, look at what they've got.
Yeah.
So they don't have to spend any money in sketch. And they work.
Yeah.
Leaves and
Yeah.
branches will.
Absolutely. My wife's saying like just a twig will stop.
I want to say that I've lived on my property for 24 years, and anytime I wanted to plant something, I go 2 inches deep and I get rock.
Yeah.
So I just decided I'd use raised beds. Well, this year I decided to put in rain gardens, and they came out and did a watershed analysis, and they found the biggest watershed was under a huge swath of cedar trees.
Yeah.
And that's where they're digging more. But they used a backhoe, and once they got to that first level of rock, there was more than 2 feet of prime.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, okay. Okay, so this is how y'all can help. Send those stories to me.
Okay.
I want these stories. We need to be able to put these together. If you do think that you have some kind of old growth vegetation, let me know. You know, and if it's related to springs, let me know. Or because y'all are going out and seeing lots of landowners, so not just your own property, but if you're going out to someone's land and you see this, send it to me so that we can try to put this together. Because for so long we've just been hearing the wrong thing and we haven't gotten the story right. So also, yeah, if you come across research, an article, anything, just send it to me. And to help us connect with new working partners, you think that someone, like you find someone, oh, this person is really good at testing the soil biology, send their name our way so we can put them on the website, you know. So, I mean, right now we have 2 people that can test soil biology on this karst country, but we definitely need more people to do that. And of course, help fund us. You can learn more and get involved by going to Project Bedrock. Here, if you're QR code savvy, you can take a little picture, so this will take you to the website. We ask you to subscribe, you can get our monthly newsletters, you know, to stay up to date and all that. But anyway, any more questions?
I've got lots and lots of cars.
Yeah.
And one of the things I also have is a fair number of small animals, possums and raccoons and stuff like that. And my judgment is if I see disturbed soil and it looks like it's been scratched, that it's not karst, that's habitat.
Where do you live?
Really?
That whole region is karst.
I know, but I'm just saying, the ones that are obvious are, I'm differentiating between what I find habitat. what are actual karst that are gathered on.
I can't hear you. Like, the music's been turned back on out there. What now?
We've got plenty of things that look like karst, and a lot of them are clearly karst, and some of them are habitat. And my judgment is based on, if I see it scratching the soil and things like that, clearing from that, that it's not a karst. It's not my
Are you saying a karst feature or karst country?
karst feature.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because, yeah, so say karst feature, so you're talking about like being like a lockout cropping or something?
So he's talking about the difference between an animal den and a karst, but, inlet to the aquifer. How he's telling the difference. between
Oh,
those two. Is that
I'm sorry.
understanding you right?
Yeah,
That's
sorry,
what I'm
old
doing.
hearing.
That's right.
I got old person hearing. Yeah, but the thing is like, prairie dogs, when they burrow and all that, that they help get water down into the ground. So, yeah, an animal digging is not an actual karst feature. Yeah, and I see what you're saying now. But although sometimes if it's older, enough erosion happens, it can get hard to tell that they take advantage of a karst feature. A larger animal, of course, will take advantage of a karst feature, while the little ones, they usually dig a hole.
That's what I'm using when somebody said, do I have karst? I'll look at it and differentiate by looking at it.
Well, tell them that we all live on karst country, but do we have a karst feature?
But a lot of people say, we don't have any of those.
Yeah. It's pretty much everywhere. So.
Actually, I believe I have a karst feature on the property, because I have wetland of the creek behind me. And the upstream part of the creek flows longer, and the downstream dries up. And one day I followed the stream, and there was a cedar tree and a pool under it when the water stops. So I think there's a karst feature.
Oh, absolutely.
It was amazing to see it.
Yeah, definitely. Any white anomalies like that will definitely give you a cue that you have a karst feature. And it's like there's probably a lot of sinkholes. There's probably a lot of sinkholes out there that have been filled up that we need to find them and empty them out. So we clear out those sinkholes, you clear out those karst features. So many things that can be done. And and like I said, that eco-karst, we can regenerate it.
Let the water do the work.
What now?
I have a book by someone whose last name is Van Dyke called Let the Water Do the Work.
No, he does not.
Okay.
He works an excavator. I don't think he's.
Okay. It's a land works thing about all of this stuff. I thought it might be sent out there.
Are there any questions online?
There aren't so far.
Okay. So I have a little bit of our stuff information at the back there. If y'all subscribe, just write your name down. Even brought a QR code to subscribe, same one here. And our business card, little fact sheet. So again, Master Naturalists, y'all can be a big help to Project Bedrock, really helping us get the word out there, but also is coming in with, when you find stories of the connections to find that old road, send them to me so that I can start mapping it out.
Is that presentation available? Can we get a copy of what you presented tonight?
It's just brand new. I did it today.
Oh.
Shirt yesterday. Yeah, but now I gotta figure out, should I turn it down the video? I guess I should just, well, I guess I should just make it available without the video. And people can just, because it appears.
Oh, that's fine, yeah, I'm the video.
I think it's just too long. Once I did like a race file, then it go.
Can you post that on the website?
Yeah, it's just take my business card and send me in.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably add this presentation on our website without the video. because the video is already on there. Okay, well, that's it.
And let us know, Elizabeth, when the chairs are available, we've got lots of requests.
Y'all like
Everybody sign in.
Not yet.